Hello, hello. All right. Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? Wow, I'm fantastic. It's a good day. All right. So I'm going to officially open the meeting and welcome you all to this quarterly. Uh, there we go. All right. So all right. And just take note of everyone. So for those of you who are joining us online, I want to officially welcome you as well. Um, so we're gonna get right into things. We're gonna start with this opening thought. So you never invite a thief into your house. So why would you allow thoughts that steal your joy to make themselves at home inside your head? All right. So moving forward, we're just going to make sure that we're focused on why it is that we're really here. I don't like necessarily believe that we should only be looking at things from a positive perspective. I think we need to be looking at things from a realistic perspective, from a balanced perspective. There are going to be some things that we might need to look at and say, hey, we're doing a really good job here. Let's take focus on that and let's make sure that everyone understands. There are going to be other things that we're not doing so good at, and we're going to have to acknowledge that. And the only way for us to do better is to first be aware of those things. All right. So the fact is that sometimes if you're too positive, you might get some negativity. And the last thing that you need to allow inside your home, your mind, right, is more positive stuff because you're being unrealistic at that point in time. So that's why I thought this quote was pretty important. It's very significant because you need to make sure that you're careful with who and what you allow into your psyche at any given point in time. All right, so the things for this quarterly, all right, everything that we're going to discuss is going to fall in relation to one of these five categories. All right, we're going to be focusing on relationship building, doing a quarterly review of the first quarter of this year. We're going to focus on planning, organizational development, and leadership development. So like I said, every single thing that we focus on today will fall under one of these five categories. First, I mind closing the door first. Appreciate it, brother. All right, so here's the game plan for today. All right, the icebreaker, we're gonna hit that in just a moment. All right, then I'm going to give my review, not only of this first quarter, but also of the goals and objectives of the organization, also my plan for the organization, my vision for the organization. We're gonna then hit on the conference updates, and that'll be talked about by a tour of the facilities that we'll be using for our national conference coming up in April. Then we'll have a lunch break. We'll hit the Q1 team update, so each of you will have the opportunity to share the most pertinent things that you've been doing up to this point, and we'll have the opportunity to allow for you to discuss some of the adjustments that you may need to make, or whether or not what you're doing is working, and how to make that work better. All right. Then we'll talk about impacts, values, and norms of the organization. So what type of impact do we want to leave? What type of results do we want to have? Okay. And what are the things that are most important to this organization? All right. This is where we're going to begin to hit on our brand and the culture and the norms and expectations of this organization. Are we going to be an organization that starts on time? Are we going to get here early? Are we going to make sure that we're really impactful in terms of reaching the goals and the financial obligations of the organization on a regular basis? We're going to begin this conversation. This is a very deep convo, and it won't be something that we hit and finish hitting today, but it's something that we're going to begin the conversation around. We actually started the conversation at the last quarterly meeting, so it's a continuation actually. All right, then we're going to hit on roles, responsibilities, and getting things done. How many people in here would want more time for that? You feel like you need more time? 24 hours is not enough, right? So what we're going to be talking about here is not so much exactly what it is that you should be doing, because I believe everyone has access to the policies and procedures manual. We're going to review those things, but here we're going to be focusing on the most important things that you need to be spending most of your time on in order to get better results. And then we're going to end the day reviewing some of the things that we talked about, making sure that we discuss some of the takeaways. What are the most important things that we learned, and how can they help us move forward? And we're going to top that off with action items. So what are we going to do moving forward to tomorrow and into the second quarter? All right. So icebreaker. All right. Our icebreaker for today. All right. It's the goal here is to expand our minds. So as we go into thinking about what types of results we want, as we go into the conversation about what type of impact we want to leave, the goal here is to think big, right? To think as big as possible and work towards that vision, right? So the greatest year ever told. Right? So time and money were unlimited. What would happen this year, right? Yeah, I'm asking. I'm really crafting this conversation because what we're about to do is actually create that together, right? So who's ever played any type of drinking game? Okay. All right. So no alcohol right now, but what we're gonna do is actually create the story together. So we're gonna go as follows. Someone's gonna start it off. Man, if time and money were unlimited this year, we would climb Mount Everest, and then the next person continues on that story. We'll do that until we make it all the way around. So don't be afraid to go crazy with it, and you say as much as you want to. When you say and then, the next person has to start immediately. Now, is that clear to everyone? All right, cool. Who wants to start off?
I'll start.
Everybody's gonna start. All right, we're gonna count clockwise.
Okay. If time and money were unlimited, everybody would have came recorded. Everybody would have came recorded.
Amen. What else?
And then went to the beach for a couple hours before we got started on the beach. Had our free drinks, had hooters, with some free drinks.
What else?
And y'all would have gotten tickets to all the events that were going on this weekend, like Black Food Festival and the Dolphins game on Sunday. And
Then we would have an opportunity to meet up on a Saturday morning and with unlimited money, go to some food pantry or community service and donate $10,000 for the organization. And
then we would not be making phone calls to people who have received their membership dues because we would have already paid for someone to take care of all of those things. And we would essentially be having this meeting virtually in some foreign country, relaxing, enjoying the fruit of our labors. And then
we can start building our national headquarters now by the next conference.
I said she wasn't for that.
Right. And we all be happy and not be, worried about people, people of course being done over our own work. Having reports done, people coming in late, not having a breakfast time. And
then, since I'm new to all of this, everybody's still involved with this page.
And then we could start planning the conferences for about up to 5 years. And pay for at least 100 people's membership. And then
we can start building our global brand. Who has National Black University Association?
And by the end of the year, the entire world will know our name. And Shaquille O'Neal will be a valid contributor to this organization annually, at least $1 million. So, all right. So I think that that first go around was pretty cool. Y'all had some fun with it. No shade at all. That's a surprise. But yeah, so that was a great first go around. Now everything that everyone said was pretty realistic, right? It was stuff that we're working towards. We already we already know. Like these are things that we really want to happen. Like maybe Shaq doesn't necessarily have to be the one donating, but we know we want a lot of money from a lot of people, and we want to build value. We know that we need breakfast. We're hungry. We know, especially when we expect breakfast. It's like, dang, my per diem was, So we know some of these things, right? And then we have these expectations, and we're going to really work to build them in this year and create that structure so that in the future, a lot of these things that look like possibilities will be a reality later on. All right. How y'all feeling right now? Ooh. I hear words. I don't hear like feelings with those words. Yeah. But that's cool though. All right, so let's roll right into the president's review. 20 minutes, right?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm not going to need all that time. All right, so these are results from the last survey that we did from the June quarterly. All right, there were 14 members who actually responded to the survey, and that's just about the amount of people that were actually in attendance. So I think that's pretty good. The issue is that there were only 14 people in attendance, so we're going to work on that. Now, there were 23 general questions and then 14 programming questions. And the way that everything was broken down for the general questions, strongly disagree, neither disagree or disagree, agree, strongly agree. And then, you get a grade is associated with every single answer. So that's how things were averaged out. A similar system follows for the programming related questions. And you can see the little color coded system on the bottom. Thought that was cute. But yeah, the average for the general question was about 85.5. Right, and then we had an average for programming that was around 77.9. All right, so that's a C plus. In your grad program, would you be happy? Are those either one of those grades are 7? Right.
I see. Oh, you can't A or B.
Exactly. And do you really want to be?
Right. Borderline.
So we got a solid B for the general portions of our quarterly. For the programming pieces, we need there are some cause for concern there. So this go around we attempt to address some of those things. And that's why you see the C is in red. Like C really equals F, right? Because we're grad students. So these were the general lows, right? So we asked a long list of questions, which this go around, their list will be much more concise. But these were some of the focus areas that a lot of people had cause for concern from. So information provided prior to the quarterly was adequate. Got a C plus there. Travel costs were reasonable. They were unreasonable. The topics covered at the transition meeting were necessary and priorities, right? So these were a few more. I have gained professional development skills as results of attending the conference, 82.9. I have gained personal development skills as a result of attending the quarterly. And then hotel staff were friendly and helpful. So those are the areas that people felt were the lowest. They were rated the lowest. Any comments or concerns? Okay. So these were the highs, right? I have positive expectations for the upcoming year. We got an A minus there. My contribution to the leadership team is valued. We got an A minus. Live streaming the meeting via Google Hangouts was helpful. We got a B plus there. All right. And I want you all to keep in mind that 95 was the highest that you could get. However, our highest scores were A minuses. So again, there's a lot of opportunity for growth here. I enjoyed attending the transition quarterly. B plus. NBGSA is being led by a team of confident, trustworthy individuals. Got a B plus there. So we do better there. I'm essential to the leadership team and to the overall success of the organization. All right. So this is great. Right. These are the areas that we did our best. People ranked us consistently at a B plus or higher in these areas. So we have a lot to build on. We also have a lot that we're already doing well. All right. So here's the programming piece. Here, the main complaints, and anyone who was at Morehouse, you all remember a lot of the stuff that we got to deal with. And it wasn't necessarily anyone's fault, but there were definitely some things that we could have planned better for. So the meeting rooms, 74.2, we got a C there. Meals, another C, and then the mixer, we got a C plus there. The highs, however, were the growth group and the cultural communication. Both of those were by the Hazel group. Who remembers those? Who was there for that experience? Okay. So you want to share any thoughts or anything?
I think the portion by the Hazlet group was the one that I know that I voted the highest for. I think because when they focused a lot on individual characteristics and group dynamics, and when you bring together a group of individuals with their various backgrounds and perceptions and roles that they have in their personal lives, when we interact together, that does have an impact on how we interact with one another to accomplish a set goal. So we talked about what our individual roles are, like for instance, in our homes, with our families, at our schools, and then how we can use those and what roles we kind of feel naturally in life. And then how some of us are maybe more motherly in nature, some of us are natural communicators, some of us are more charismatic. So how we can use some of those our natural tendencies in this particular group dynamic to accomplish our goals. So like individuals like Willie, who are more charismatic, more people persons, that we would use that him to be, maybe a face of the organization, or somebody who would go and be willing to shake hands and greet people and so on and so forth. So we just talked about our individual roles and how we can use those to work together. And then we also talked about ways that there are potential conflicts. Anytime we have people who are working together, there's always issues of conflict. So kind of realizing how our personal lives and our personal characteristics, how they would affect issues of conflict, individuals who would serve as mediators. We talked about Kim being a potential mediator because of her individual characteristics as well. So using her in that capacity as well, since that's something that she demonstrates naturally. So I think that was very helpful because it kind of gave light on some of those important things in working with groups, and sometimes we neglect those aspects. We just talk about getting the work done, and then it was also a good bonding time. We got a little bit of insight on each other. So those individuals who were there, we were able to, I think we were able to develop a closer knit relationship as a result of opening ourselves up to that kind of thing. As far as the culture codes of communication, no.
Well, those.
Oh yeah, just about the Hazlet group. Yeah. I really enjoyed them.
And that means a lot coming from David because
I was opposed to
strongly, not just opposed. It was like strong.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. I don't even know why feelings are necessary.
Right.
All right, so yeah, so thank you for sharing, and I want to point out that the way that you shaped your answer was beautiful. You gave it what you also talked about how it impacted and why it was important. So I think that those types of answers are a lot more helpful. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So also the roles and responsibilities piece, which Dave also led, was ranked very high, and the vision and mission building session was really high as well. And some of the I guess qualitative concerns that people time management, making sure that we plan effectively so that we're taking care of the most important things first. And those were the two major things. So priorities, time management. So we're gonna talk about a lot of that today and tomorrow. All right, so the goals, my goals for the organization: strengthen organizational structure, develop the organization, develop the leaders who make up the organization, and then plan strategically for the future. All right, those are the main 4 areas that I plan to focus on while leading the organization this year. Now, number 1, strengthen the organization. Now, strengthen the organizational structure. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, improve tracking systems. That's number 1. Right? That which you don't track, you will continue to lack. Awareness is the first step. So we have to get better at making sure that we're keeping track of what it is that we're doing, our goals, and the results, and making sure that we're adjusting effectively to make sure that we're always moving towards meeting our goals more effectively. All right. Improve accountability systems, right? So we need to clarify clear objectives, desired outcomes, and realistic timelines, right? And then we also need to develop and implement effective reinforcements. Right? Who's ever been in class with a class clown? Or who has ever been the class clown? Okay. So how does the teacher typically respond in your experience?
No, they ignored me most of the time.
Oh, you were that guy. Okay. They ignored you most of the time. Why do you think they did that?
Because, that's opportunity to think, what's on any attention, I might as well stop and sit down and do that list.
So your goal at being in class clown was to get attention, right? All right, cool. Now, teacher didn't want that to happen. The way that you were going about getting that attention, that was ineffective for the classroom environment, right? All right. So her goal was to make sure that the students learned. Your goal was to make sure that you got attention. Now, after you stopped being in class clown, what happened? People started learning. What about you?
I talk like it.
Good. Okay. And I think that is pretty important to be clear on exactly what the goals and objectives are for that reason. Because I've been in class a lot of times where the teacher goes crazy. She can't help but to yell at that child who's making jokes and disrupting class. But what's happening is a negative reinforcement. Right? The fact that she's giving him attention, that's exactly what he wants. Right? And I think that for us, it's important to be clear on exactly what it is that we want. Right? So how do we respond when someone has unacceptable behavior? Right? If you miss a call, what happens? Yeah, that's a general question. In NBGSA, if you miss a call, what happens?
You miss information. Oh, you mean like work permit?
What are the natural consequences of missing a call? Misinformation, that's true.
I missed a call, so nothing.
You said nothing, you said shade, what is that? You get shade.
It's shade.
What happens if you don't show up to the portal?
Shit.
No. From my experiences, because last year I made all of them, and when we got to the conference, we didn't have our VP, and we still made things work. So I feel nothing happened. There was no consequences.
There were absolutely consequences, but they were not.
Well, there were consequences that fell upon the team, but not to the individual.
Exactly, and so we're in if that's the environment, that behavior is being reinforced, right? So if you're supposed to be on the call, the expectation is that you come on the portal. Then the fact is, if you don't do those things and the environment reinforces that type of behavior, there's no reason for you to do those things. There are no consequences. Then you'll continue to do that behavior. So that's why the goal is to strengthen the environment, right? To strengthen the structure, the accountability system. Make sure that people understand the actions and consequences. Make sure that people understand the goals. And their goals need to be intertwined with the NBGSA. Right, so we're going to be talking about that today as well. Strengthen organizational memory. Every year, we don't need to start over from scratch. That's an extreme waste of time. Increase NBGSA access points. How many opportunities do people have to get involved with NBGSA throughout the year? Right? Regionals and the national conference, pretty much, right? Want to change that. Develop the NBGSA way, right? So update policies and procedures manually. We need to make sure that we have a consistent, systematic way of doing things so that everybody here was to die in a car crash tomorrow. There's a blueprint and everything can be picked right back up regardless of who is in those positions. So we're gonna work on that. So organizational development. Want to increase financial stability, right? That's really important. So the few points here that I want to focus on are establishing reliable mechanism for positive cash flow. So making sure that we stay in the black, right? Before last year, we were pretty up and down, right? Some years we owed money, some years we didn't, but it was pretty unexpected. It doesn't need to be like that, especially if we want to be a successful business-like organization, all right? So want to make sure that we have things in place to make sure that we always are going to have money coming in. The long-term goal, I want to get to a point where passive income covers all necessary expenses. Who knows the difference between passive and linear income? So linear income is basically working. All right, you work, you exchange time for money. All right, so you get sick, your paycheck gets sick. Right? If you can't work, then you don't get any money. So that's pretty much the system that almost everyone operates on. But what I found is that really, really successful people position themselves to be in a situation where they don't have to do anything and everything that they need is taken care of. So I think that's a very, very good goal for the organization to make sure that we have, whether it's investments, whether it's annuities, whatever we decide to do, or whether it's an endowment, we have enough money to cover our basic expenses every year. Everything else is just extra credit. All right. And then increase financial sponsorships. Make sure that we have money coming in from everywhere. And when we have that much money, we can do things like scholarships, like paying for people to come to the conference, making sure that everyone on the leadership team doesn't have to come out of pocket for these types of meetings. We can do those things, and it's very possible. We just have to plan strategically. All right. Moving on with this, want to clarify organization culture and values. What are the things that are most important to us? Want to improve marketing strategy and membership benefits. What is it that we do? What is it that we do? And do people know what we do? And then what are people saying about us when we're not around? You know, clarify our brand, build those relationships. That's not only PR, but that's also inside the organization as well. So we want to make sure that people associate NBGSA with good stuff all the time, and make sure that the people within the organization have that trust that will allow that to happen. And then strengthen communication both inside and outside of the organization. So leadership goals, want to increase buy-in, make sure that we're all leading from the front. That's the best way to do it. That's been my experience. There are a lot of different ways to lead, but I think that if you provide that example, if you set that best expectation, then not only are you doing it, you're providing an opportunity for people to learn from you so that they know how to do it. You show them, not tell them. I've been in a lot of sermons and seen some pastors actually doing stuff that was very opposite from what they were talking about. I've had a lot of parents who in here has had their parents say, "Do as I say, not as I do," or at least communicate that. Right? I can do this because I'm grown. So when I can grow up, I can do it too. Bet. So want to make sure that we're leading from the front. Increase personal development opportunities, like the Hazlips, like things like Strength Quest, things like True Colors. We're actually going to do that this weekend. I think y'all are going to love that. Very excited about it. Increase professional development opportunities, making sure that what you're doing carries over, not just into your personal life. So it doesn't just help you shape you to become a better individual, but also it helps you do the things that you're doing there. So on the job, you can apply whatever you're learning in here on the job. Establish a leadership plan. Want to have a clear goal for every year, again, making sure that we don't have to start from scratch. And then what's our 1, 3, and 5 year plan? Right? Strategic plan. So where are we going? How will we get there? What needs will we meet? What will we need to get there? And then how will we overcome potential challenges? We're going to begin this conversation today. Right? We're going to start really, really talking about this. And by the end of the year, we should have a 1, 3, and 5 year strategic plan. We're really a 5 year strategic plan. So what do we want our organization to be like in 5 years? Do we want to be more than a conference? And are we truly interdisciplinary? All right. So these are some of the goals that were drafted from the strategic plan. A couple years ago, we had an organization come and work with us in alignment. And so these are some of the things: maintain financial sustainability, increase organizational efficiency, reestablish the call and response journal, branding, and visibility. These are all things that have kind of been a mission. These have been a challenge for us for a while, and these have been goals that we've had for a while. We just haven't been effectively implementing them. We haven't found a way to do it yet. So we're going to focus on that. And we're going to decide, is this what we still need to be focused on? Or are there some things that aren't on that list that we might need to give our attention to? All right. So that wraps it up for me. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we move forward to the date? Congratulations on being married and stuff. Hey, you got your jump drive? You got your jump drive?
Can I just pull up my email?
Yeah, that's right.
I just sent you all an email with everything, so you guys can, because some of the stuff might get small.
Yeah.
So if you can, yeah, you guys can pull it up and talk.
Oh.
All right, so this report slash update, everything, is meant to be interactive, so there are points where I'm going to solicit feedback from you all. Because you are the governing board of the organization, and thus you preside over the conference as well. So first thing, how do I click?
Yeah, you're good. I got
Is
you.
the arrow?
Yeah, you just.
Okay.
Well, I got you.
So these are all the things that we're gonna go over today. And then I'm gonna ask for feedback and stuff, and then after which we're going to go on a tour. So the tour will take place at noon today. So I have from now until then, and we'll eat breakfast in between and relax and share and stuff like that. So the national conference, you know, is the biggest thing that we do in our organization. For some years, it's been like the only thing that we do in our organization. But so the way that this year we tried to separate association business from conference business. So as such, in the past, it has been the practice that the executive board has kind of served as a pseudo conference committee. But this year we tried to separate that. So as a result, I sent out a call for committee members, and those are the members. These are our members of our national conference committee. So all this work that I'm talking about that has been done, these are the people who are doing it. These are our chairpersons of the subcommittees. So each one of those committee members falls into one or more of those subcommittees, and then they also work and are led by those sub chairs that are listed there. We meet every Sunday, every other Sunday, just prior to our conference calls. We meet at 7 p.m. So if any of you would like to join those conference calls, you're more than welcome to join them as well to get more in-depth information about what's going on with the conference committees. Also, in addition to those meetings, I meet with the sub-conference chair on about weekly, sometimes, it depends on the activities that we need. But lately it's been like weekly, some every 2 days or 3 days or whatever, to make sure that they're accomplishing the goals that they need to do. On the last report that I sent this past Sunday, it had more details as far as what each subcommittee is doing, but they're pretty much self-explanatory as far as their responsibilities. So overall, the conference logistics is our 27th conference. The dates are April 8th through 12th. It will be located here at the Omni Jacksonville Hotel. How do you guys feel about the hotel so far? Okay, wonderful. All right, and then later on we'll be able to get more, so you can see the full layout of the hotel and where we're going to be hosting things. The theme for the conference is Global Impact, Expanding Horizons and Bridging the Gap Between Academia and the Community. So we sent out a call for themes. We got back only to the entire membership. We only got back 2 themes. Both themes are related to having some sort of global influence in the community as Black scholars. So what we did was we just kind of combined the 2 instead of picking one or the other. We kind of combined the 2. And so as a committee, we combined the 2, and then we sent it out to the board to get additional feedback as far as wording and stuff like that is concerned. And then as a result of everyone's feedback overall, this is the theme that was decided on. So as far as the hotel is concerned, these are the the hotel logistics. We have a room rate. Well, first, let me go back a little bit. The way that things work as far as selecting a hotel is concerned, we use Walk-On. Our association management company is Walk-On Management. You'll hear Walk-On a lot and Charles a lot throughout the course of the day. So they are responsible. They send out a request for proposals to the City Travel and Tourism Bureau. The City Travel and Tourism Bureau sends it out to all the hotels in the area, and then whoever can meet our specifications will send us proposals for us to consider. So we first considered Gainesville. From Gainesville, we only had 2 proposals. One of them didn't work at all, so that left us with 1 hotel. Not an ideal situation as far as negotiation. So that's when we opened our search up to Orlando, Jacksonville, and Tampa. We didn't receive any feedback from Tampa. We received a few from Orlando, and then we received this one and the Crown from Jacksonville. We had Clyde, who is one of the board members who lives in Orlando, he went by the Orlando properties and just kind of did like a once over. He got a tour, I think, of 2 of them. And he was like, this is not our type of hotel. The room's open to the outside. It wasn't our caliber of hotel. So we decided to, and then they were a little bit more expensive as well. So that's when we decided to focus on Jacksonville. I visited both the Crown as well as the Plaza. As well as the Crown Plaza, as well as this hotel. And based on their contracts as well as the hotel amenities, we decided that this was the best hotel for us. So here's all the things that we're getting with this hotel. We have our $99 room rate, which is the lowest room rate that we've had in the last 2 years, because the last years it was $109, I believe, for both years. We have $79 staff rooms, so we get 7 staff rooms for $79. Our room block is 300 total room nights. So that's over the course of the entire week, from April 5th through April 12th. We have to use up 300 room nights. In our contract, we are financially obligated for 70% of that, which equates to 210 rooms we're responsible for. To give you some perspective, and I'll show in the budget a little bit later on, 210 is very low. In past conferences, we've had 300, 400 room nights that we've used. So for them to only require us to have 210, we're very confident that we're going to be able to meet that. So we won't be obligated for any more than we are consuming. The food and beverage minimum is $15,000. We're only responsible for 70% of that, which is $10,500. Again, to give you some perspective, last year we spent somewhere around 27,000, was that?
Almost 29.
Yeah. Okay, so 29,000 on food and beverage. And the year before that, I believe we spent 23,000 on food and beverage. So for us only to be obligated to spend 10 is very, 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 very low. So that's a very good thing as well. The other concessions that we get along with this hotel, we get the complimentary presidential suite. We normally get a suite for the president and the VP conference, but in this case, we got the presidential suite, and we got 3 complimentary executive king suites. We also got 1 complimentary room for 40 room nights, which is what we usually use for our speakers. So every 40 room nights that we use, we get that one that's included. We get complimentary room rental for meeting our food and beverage. The same thing like our meeting room here was complimentary. Complimentary wireless internet. We get 20% discount to wireless internet in the meeting space. Complimentary wireless internet for our planning room. So I believe that this is, I have to look back at my notes, but I believe that this will be our main boardroom that we'll be meeting for our general debrief sessions. We'll get 7 conference staff and committee guest rooms at the $79 rate, because remember, once again, the conference committee as well as the exec board were asking to be here for the entire week. So that's why our meeting rooms are a little bit less. We also get 10 board member upgrades to executive kings, and we'll see that today when we go around to do the tour. We get 20 complimentary tables for a graduate and career fair. We're able to host our October and January. Room blocks have already been set for those quarterly meetings. Walk-on management receives a 10% commission. This is important because Walk-on management is also our AV company. So his salary is pretty much paid through their cost is pretty much paid through that 10% commission. Whatever is their normal cost, we pay the difference between what his commission is and what we would normally, and what the normal quote for the rates for all of the AV equipment. So that's all the registration stuff, the printers, badges, all of that, the LCD projectors, all of the stuff for the voting, all of those, anything audiovisual comes from Walk-on as well. We also get discounted valet rate of $10 per day, as well as it's no additional charge for us to bring our own audiovisual. So those are overall concessions that we received from Dr. Turnipseed, as well expressed with his expertise in history with the organization and planning conferences as well. He said that this is probably one of the best contracts that we've had in some time, especially with the low food and beverage minimum. So that is something definitely that we won't have any issue being able to meet.
I think now is a good time for us to
Just
take a quick break.
Okay.
Can we get about 5 minutes? And how long does David have?
David has an hour, right now she has 50 minutes left.
Okay.
time, is the national conference logistics. We can start talking about the agenda. So I printed hard copies for you to look at, because I'm old, so you know, you can write on them. I want to change something.
All right.
Yeah, it's difficult for me. So, we like, the overall, we're trying to move very, very quickly to get this information. We want to have everything out. We don't want to be waiting until last minute to do anything. So, the conference programming committee, under the leadership of Nicole Johnson, who was the something last year, Northeast regional rep last year, North Central regional rep last year. So her, I think some members are like Aria Smith from Florida State, Clifton, who was the secretary last year, was on there, Dominique, who's on board, Michael Cobb, who's also on that committee. I believe that's it. So they have been meeting, and here's some of the things that, as well as with me, here's some of the things that we came up with. Well, first of all, before I go through the agenda, the main things we took into consideration a lot of the conference complaints from past years that were given to us through the evaluation. Some of the main things were that the main complaints were that the days were too long. We didn't have opportunity to explore the city. That people were just kind of getting burnt out after a long period of time. People really liked the 5K and the exercise component, so they wanted to see something like that, more things like that. Those are the main things that kind of stood out, that were echoed over and over. And then there were also certain things that were said about speakers and workshops and panels, like separating, because there were panel discussions that took place during the oral presentation time. So they were much too short. So they wanted more, a lengthier period of time for panel discussions, for interactions back and forth. So, so they kind of took all of those things into consideration to create a new conference agenda. So we will keep, and then when we go around to do the tour, I want to do the agenda before we do the tour, so that when we do the tour, it makes sense when I say, okay, this is going to be here, this is going to be there. It'll make sense in your mind. So conference will start on Wednesday, April 8th. We would like to have a poolside opening reception, which will take place on the 4th floor pool. So I know that some of you were able to go out there, but it's very nice. It overlooks the water. It's a large area. Depending on our sponsorships, which we'll talk about later, and how many people we actually get to sponsor the opening reception, we consider covering the pool, like a lighted pool type of thing, have the high top, low top tables out there, a keynote speaker, the orders and whatever that we already have, all those things, the food, the reception portion, the refreshments and whatnot are already budgeted for that as well. But just to give some extra stuff, to give it a little bit of flair, entertainment and stuff like that, is going to be dependent on our sponsorships for that particular event. Immediately following that event, we're going to do a karaoke kickoff, which what we're doing is for all of our social activities. Another thing that came up in the evaluations where people were talking about, I guess, more organized social activities. So what we're trying to do is for each night, we're trying to provide people with an NBGSA option. So you have an option to join NBGSA, this NBGSA sponsored event, or you can go out and do whatever you want to do. But at least people have some place to go, and it's not like, oh, where are we going? And then the person who doesn't have somebody's phone number is stuck in a hotel room. So we have a karaoke kickoff. So each one of these things are suggestions of things that we want to do. We're going to be working with facility owners and stuff like that, locations around here, to try to make some of these things happen. So we want to do that on Wednesday. So, every morning from 7 to 7:45, we're going to have what we call Rise and Grind, which is a workout opportunity that's available. One day we want to do yoga on the pool deck at that time. We want to do a Zumba type activity. So a lot of these activities we want to appeal to our members. So we have a lot of members who are very talented at different things, and they some people teach classes at their local gyms or schools or whatever. So we're going to appeal to them first, because we would definitely like to, offer discounts for attending or, or upgrade for their room or something for sponsoring, for leading that particular session. So that'll be available to people as well. Conference registration every day for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday and Friday will take place from 8 to 5. We'll have our general sessions, which will be from 9 to 10:30 with our keynote speaker in that particular room, and it's like the traditional general sessions that we have with breakfast. Then immediately after, we'll have 2 roundtables for our oral presentations. So the way that those will be structured, we have up to 4 rooms that we can fill at the same time. So it's 4 presenters for 4 rooms, which means that we can have 16 presenters during each 1-hour block. So we have the potential in our schedule right now for 64 oral presentations. And then we have the potential to add more based on the call for proposals. So that's just oral presentation. We also have spots available for workshops and panels as well. So, and then also for paper and poster. So we have, and then, so that'll take place during the 10:45 and 12 o'clock blocks. We'll come back at 1:15 for our lunch session with the keynote speaker. Then immediately following that, we'll have the concurrent workshops and panels. And then we'll have the schedule for that. Once again, we can do up to 4 at a time that people will have the opportunity to choose from. Then after that, one thing that was brought up during a number of different, boards that I've served on, as well as individuals, even on this leadership team, we talked about the fact that we do nominations for e-boards on Thursday. Sometimes people don't know what any position entails. They say that, we send out the Constitution, but people are like, okay, nobody reads that. Nobody knows what the positions are, so that people are a little bit more prepared. So what we built in this year is what we call NBGSA leadership discussions. And the idea is that each one of you will be at a particular table in a room. And you'll have, we're asking you to present, either some sort of, make a presentation of your work over the course of the year. And you'll stand there for that 30 minutes and you'll be there to answer questions for people who want to come by and to find out what is your position all about. How do I, and get some advice, some recommendations, so on and so forth from you as far as people who are interested in running. So that will take place for about 30 minutes. After that portion, we will have an afternoon break. Our afternoon breaks are typically 30 minutes long. We'll have snacks and stuff. Our afternoon break are another sponsorship opportunity. So a school for, I forget how much it costs, maybe $2,000, $1,500, or something like that, can sponsor the afternoon break, and it'll be some chips, juice, some sodas, and cookies, and something like that in a hallway. And then we'll have their signage that goes up that says this break was sponsored by Howard University, or whatever. And then so people have the opportunity to get some snacks and some refreshments right there before we proceed to the next activity. So the reason that we built in the afternoon break there is because it'll give a little bit more time if people want to hang around the NBGSA leadership discussions a little bit longer, if they so choose, because the General Assembly meeting will begin at 4:45. Where we'll have we will present our annual report, the business, the financial report, and then we'll also give the constitutional amendments and the nominations of new officers. After that, after that, it's pretty much the conference day pretty much comes to an end for the general body. So they have that time after that to go and explore the city and do whatever they want to do. Another thing that we're talking about doing is that we want to provide discounts and stuff like that for various restaurants in the area, especially the ones that are in the landing. So for instance, like if it's a Viva La Mexico, and we say, Cinco de Mayo. So if we decide to go over there, then I would, or a member of the programming committee would talk to them and say, okay, we want to partner with you for this day, give our people 30% off when they come in, or provide this particular special or whatever. We give them wristbands, whatever we want to do for them to identify us. And then we kind of send business their way as a result of them accommodating us. So that's something that we definitely want to do each night, to have like a dinner spot for people to go and give them a little break. What we also want to do the initiatives of our president has been like a president's council and so on and so forth. So we do want to offer a president's reception for chapter presidents, for past presidents, and for our founders. So there's going to be limited space that's available, and we're going to require people to RSVP either their chapter president or for their chapter BGSA to send a representative as well. So there'll be opportunities. So we're asking for people to RSVP ahead of time. If not, there might still be availability, but we want it to be a very like a prestigious event, very like exclusive type of thing. There are opportunities for sponsors to sponsor this particular activity as well. As far as the location, we're thinking tentatively about, depending on the number of people, to host it in the presidential suite, because it's a large suite, a 2-bedroom suite as well, which is where we've kind of hosted in the past also. And it's a beautiful room, beautiful view. It's just a nice warm feel. And then during that time, some of the activities that we wanted to talk about having them is like how to continue to activate their BGSAs. We want them to network with one another to do joint activities, so on and so forth. So those are some of the activities that we want to do. And we really want to just use that opportunity as for us to develop a foundation for this president's council to move forward. And then we also want to keep in contact with our leadership. Then the last thing that we want to do that evening is we want to have our organized social activity, 50 Shades of Black mixers, basically like an all-Black party type of thing that we want to do at a location in the area that's preferably walking distance. All right, so moving on. Friday, again, Friday pretty much follows the same schedule as Thursday, except we have our graduate and career fair, which will take place from 10 to 5. And it'll close during the lunch session because they are given a lunch ticket, recruiters. So it'll close during the lunch session. So everything is exactly the same up until you go to the next page. Up until the 3:50 to 4:30, we'll have our poster sessions. And again, we'll have our afternoon break right after that. Once again, it gives the poster sessions a little bit more time if they have to keep on going because the afternoon break is built in there. Then we'll have the regional meetings that we normally have on, do we know? I don't know what we normally have. But we'll have we normally have them on Saturday? Okay, well, we're gonna have them on Friday this year. And okay, so now let me explain the rationale behind this change. This is another major change from last year, from previous years. In the last couple of years, we've done our annual banquet. Our banquet is our big finale closing night. On that night, we do all of the awards. We do the recognition of the scholarship and stuff like that, recipients, competition awards. We do the recognition of the e-board, affiliate of the year awards. We also do the new e-board announcements during that time as well. And then after that, we do the regional showcase. So it's a lot of stuff that happens on that one event. Also, that event has typically been on a Saturday night. After that event happens on Saturday night, that's when we have to clean up everything, normally in the middle of like midnight, and break down everything and transition the new board, and all of that stuff normally ends up happening at 11 or 12 a.m. on Saturday night, when we've been here the entire week and everybody's burnt out. So what we decided to do is to change up the format a little bit so that we're not doing everything at the last minute and giving us a little bit more breathing room, because we want the conference to be enjoyable for everybody, not just the attendees, but also for the people who are working the conference. So we decided to split up the two. We want to, and this is something that was done in conferences, I believe it was like 2004, something like that. They did a similar format as well, where they kind of broke up the alumni and membership activities from the award ceremony and recognition. So what we're doing is on Friday night, we want to do an alumni and membership gala. So we liked the idea last year when we did the gala, make it all big and fancy, everybody dressed up, formal wear, so on and so forth. So except this time we want to have it to be more of like a formal family reunion type thing. We're trying to activate or reach out to all of our past students, all of our past e-board members. We want all of them to be present present. So we're sending personal invitations to past e-board members and past presidents and requesting their attendance at this event. We also want to recognize them. We want to focus completely on just NBGSA, our past, our present, and what our vision for the future is. We don't want to have a keynote speaker during this time. We want for our president to do a presidential, state of the organization address kind of thing for a couple minutes. We would like our first founder and first president, Dr. Shaw, to give like a charge to the organization. And then we want to make the night very fun and enjoyable. So some of the things that we talked about doing, we're doing like conference superlatives and stuff, where we would just throughout we would come up with ideas like most interactive person, most talkative, best dressed, whatever, that kind of stuff, where people can vote for those types of things throughout the conference. Then we also want to have alumni and member awards. So we want a member of the year and alumni member of the year. So we're going to solicit applications or nominations for that as well. We would also, and other member awards as well, like a humanitarian member of the year award or whatever. So we want to do things like that as well. We also want to recognize the current e-board during that time and their accomplishment. We also during this time, we do want to do the candidate speeches instead of the keynote speaker. Normally we have the keynote speaker that talks for an hour or whatever. So instead of that, we'll throw in the candidate speeches at that time as well. So everybody's there. This is all of our alumni and our membership who are going to, the members who have the opportunity to vote. Then at the conclusion, we'll also do a number of toasts. The hotel has offered us complimentary champagne toasts for that evening. So we'll have toast people who, will come up and, whatever. And then at the end of that, we will have our regional showcase, where the region will perform their skits and stuff like that. We'll make it a big party, turn it into a big thing or whatever. And then since it's all family, in there, we don't have outsiders who are not, who we're trying to impress and whatever. We can just kind of let our hair down, have a good time. We'll have a cash bar that's there, DJ, lighting, all of that stuff, and just make it a really good time. Then after it's over, we'll have an after party location that's somewhere nearby so that we can just kind of really let our hair down and enjoy ourselves for that evening. Right after the candidate speeches, we'll open voting so that people can start voting at that time through the next day. And the next day is when, and I'll get into this now, is when we'll move on with our elections and announcements and stuff like that. So that's the idea for Friday night. Saturday, we'll do our Rise and Grind again, conference registration. Community service will take place. We're still deciding what we're going to do for our community service, but that activity will be on a Saturday morning. The concurrent workshops and panels will also take place that morning. We'll have 2 sessions, 2 one-hour sessions of that. One of our concluding activities will be our awards ceremony and luncheon. That'll be our more business professional, where we invite all of the outside organizations, we'll invite all of our sponsors to come in, and this is where we will recognize all of the competition winners, all of the scholarship winners. We will announce the 2015 and 2016 officers at that time. Then we'll have, that's when we'll have our keynote speaker who will address the entire body as well. And for that event, we're requesting business professional attire. The reason that we're doing that is because immediately after that event is over, from 3 o'clock to 3:30, we will have our officer and regional photos. So we will have our regions get together and take pictures. So we have pictures of each one of our regions, and we will also have the formal pictures for the entire new board. Immediately following that, at 3:45 to 4:45 is when we will have the officer transition meeting. In the past, it's normally taking place on a Sunday. Nobody's here on Sunday, so it'll be like 10 people there. In this case, everyone will be here because the conference is still in the middle of the conference, and you just found out that you won anyway, so you're still here, but you're still in the room because it's 30 minutes later because we just have taken the pictures. So we know that everyone will be here, and so that way we can get all the contact information. We can really start to begin the transition process during that time. So after the transition meeting, it pretty much ends the formal conference. So that will take place at 4:45. We will have dinner on their own, or people, once again, it's the last night. Let me add before that. After the transition meeting, that's when we, as the board and the conference committee, will have the opportunity to pack up, clean up, do all the stuff that we have to do. It's only 5 o'clock, so we still have opportunity for us to enjoy our evenings as well. So we'll be able to, and then that way that we can pass along whatever, if we want to switch jump drives for people or whatever, we have plenty of time to be able to do that after that point. They'll have dinner at another location, and then we want to have a huge closing celebration at some club or location that's located in the vicinity as well. Another option that we're thinking about doing is, there's not a great deal of things to do in downtown Jacksonville. The Landing is pretty much it. There's a couple of bars that are on like Bay Street and stuff like that. So for this night, we're talking about, depending on how things go with sponsorship, we want to do St. John's Town Center is a nice area, and there's another area that someone else was telling me about. It's kind of like an upscale area as well that we can host a party or activity at. So we were talking about doing chartering a shuttle to go back and forth from, you know, what it is, from 9 to 2 a.m. when clubs close, to go back and forth and to take people to that particular that particular location. Once we kind of iron out the details of what that activity is going to be, just so that people, you know, they have the option of driving there themselves, or the people who are flying in and don't have transportation, we will be able to provide transportation to them to get to whatever that location is, so that they can experience that area, another aspect of Jacksonville that is not in this particular vicinity. On Sunday, the final thing that we want to do is we do want to offer a continental breakfast in our registration area. So we just want to lay out a whole bunch of stuff, and so people can kind of grab a snack as they head out. And also, since there'll be a couple people there, we kind of would like for, you know, our presidents and our founders and whatever, make sure that there's board members that are there all the time to thank people for coming and to, you know, to wish them safe travels as they leave as well. So that is the agenda in a nutshell. We have a lot of more specific things that we want to tie in, but that is the agenda at a glance right now. So now I would like to open up the time for specific feedback, things that we can change or improve on moving forward, so that I can take back to the committee. Yes.
This relates to the voting. And, is there any way we can have a designated area for the candidates to have campaign materials?
Yes. Okay. We can do that.
I know some things like last year they had like specific, like you couldn't, you know, you couldn't post up on some things, you know, because of the hotel, like just designated area where you can see all of the candidates.
Okay, we can definitely do that. And we can do that because the room that we have set aside for our career fair, that, I mean, we have access to all of them the entire weekend. So we can change that over to career fair ends on Friday at 5. So once that's over, we can set that aside for campaigning, and we can have a table per position, and people can put their stuff there. So I like that idea. I like that a lot.
So the NBGSA leadership discussion, we're gonna all be in one room, or we're gonna have to, okay.
We'll all be in one room. So it'll probably be the same, make sure I can use it the same, yeah. It's gonna be the same room again as at, the career fair room. So those same 20 tables that'll be there will be our tables, so we'll just set up the same certain locations, and then.
Alright. Alright, come here and get refreshed. And get refreshed.
You got the little breaks, no.
Shout out to the Rise and Grind, don't fall off. Yes. Yes. know.
Well, and y'all will already be up, so there's no reason not to do overtime.
John, that you don't have to be there too, right?
Oh, you know I will.
I don't know.
But now you know. Expect me to be there.
Thank you. My roommate is the person trying to say she has her certification thing.
Yeah, that's what I, please don't, I guess,
If she.
She's not done.
yeah.
She's not done.
Because either we can have them as, we can offer them the free, like, for instance, that person, we offer them free vendor space. For doing that for us. So,
She probably was a school teacher, like, she probably didn't even want to.
but that's the part that we need to give her a table, and you wanna put your, put out your information and stuff like that on it, and you have that, have that freedom to do that while she's here. So that'll, anything else you guys wanna add before we move on to the next component?
Then you talked about in the beginning that, you went over so many complimentary rooms and so many
Right.
field
Uh-huh.
as the board.
Uh-huh.
How does that work for?
Well, in the past, the complimentary room, the 1 per 40 is usually for our speakers. So we have to pay that cost automatically. The staff rooms, however, we kind of divided up between, because some people, like for the individuals who don't have their institution's contract, their room, and they have to pay out of pocket, we would kind of say, okay, we'll make the double room, put, 2 people or 4 people or whatever in that room, and give priority to those people who are funding out of pocket. For those, complimentary rooms. If we have addition, like for instance, if we have just a large turnout and we, and we don't have as many we don't need as many speaker rooms, like for instance, as we have had in the past, then I think that we can discuss how we want that room. Those rooms will definitely go for the board and the conference committee who do need it, and then we can move forward with how we want to divvy that up accordingly.
With the 300 room nights, that basically like.
It's broken, it's not each night, but it's broken up, like for instance, Sunday night is 5 rooms, Monday night is 7, because it's less of us here.
Okay.
And then it kind of increases and then it goes down. So it's based on our level of activity on each day. Usually Thursday night is the biggest night, Thursday and Friday night are the biggest nights. Because like all the speakers are here that day, all the workshop presenters are here that day, so it kind of ups. Because remember the speakers and stuff and workshop presenters, they don't stay the whole time, they're usually only there for that 1 or 2 nights around when they present. So that's why those nights are usually much higher than the other nights as well. So, but yeah, it's pretty much kind of like a bell, a few bright,
What day would you like to
One thing that John and I were talking about is for the next quarterly meeting, we would like for the conference committee, especially the chairs, not necessarily the conference committee, but as many of them as possible can come, especially the chairs, to be present here at the next meeting. Just so, not so they can be here for our board meeting, because I would like them to meet separately as well, so they can work on more specific conference stuff face to face. So like a lot of the mass agenda stuff, like for each, like this is just the overall agenda. For each one of these events, we need another more detailed agenda of like, we need databases, who's gonna be on the podium, who's introducing what speaker, like that kind of stuff. So all of that work will be done in January, and I'm hoping that type of work will be done. By that time, we'll have all of our speakers in place and whatnot, so that we can, and our workshop presenters in place as well, so that they can kind of iron out all those small details. I also want them here because by then I would hope that we have our social mixer activities planned out already, so that they can go and meet with, the managers and stuff like that during the day while we're meeting in here, so they can kind of take care of all of that business on the outside during normal business hours, so that we can negotiate those relationships as well. So there's a few things like that I would like them to take care of when they're here, especially, and then also for them just to be more well acclimated with the space in the area. And then for them to be able to bond with all of us, because all of us are going to be working, and if we get the numbers that we hope to get, we're going to need as many hands on deck as possible.
Is that April or is it January?
That's January.
What's the date?
What were we asking about? Oh, we're not asking them to be here?
Yes, what they do.
We're asking the conference, it depends on their role. So certain speakers, like the committee chairs, I probably ask them for them to be here as early as, Monday if possible, Monday or Tuesday. The rest of the conference committee, I'm asking for them to be there for sure, Tuesday night, so that they're here all day Wednesday.
We got Easter Sunday.
Right.
That's about the conference committee, right? And that's another thing I did want to remember, because I think I said I mentioned on the call as well. Easter is that Sunday. So I understand that, people have their very, it is Resurrection Sunday that Sunday. So for those of you who can travel to be here on that Monday evening, on that Sunday night, I do ask you to do that. It's not required though, because I understand that it is a holiday for many people, it's me too. So, but as many people ask me to be here, I know I will be here. So you can't, because I'm not far, because it's not a big travel day, so I can leave, Eastern Warren down at my house at like 6, so I can leave, then and be here that night or whatever to carry out any activities that we want to do that evening. So, but I am asking though, since our release is Sunday night, that we are here bright and early that morning. So when you're booking flights, we do ask that you book them as early as they have them. So please don't come in on Monday night. So please be here as early as possible, like noon if possible, so that we don't lose the entire day of travel.
On Monday.
On Monday. So we can be here, if you guys can be here by noon, like in the city, not leaving your city, but in this city, by noon, I would really appreciate that.
And that,
Executive board, yeah, everybody.
and that's tentative.
Council and committee.
That is tentative, so it might be earlier, it might be later, depending on what we need as we get closer. But
Yeah, as early as possible. If you can get here Sunday night, please get here Sunday night, because we do have a 5-room block Sunday night. January 8th. No, January 8th. January 8th to the 11th is the next quarter. So January 8th and through the 11th is next quarter week. It's very important that we are here I know I'm talking speeches to the wrong people. But these characters back to the people who are not here as well. It's really important because we do have room block windows to meet when we're in the spaces and stuff like that. So, our room block minimum for the quarterlies is only 10, we're responsible for 8%, which is 8 rooms. This time we didn't meet that 8 rooms. So, no, we only have 7. So we have to make sure that, that we do, fulfill our obligations and stuff like that. So please, I know that you guys are not, clearly you're here. So that's not an issue. But if you guys can, implore some people that you talk to who are on the board to make sure that they're here as well.
And to piggyback on that, part of what I was saying earlier about leading by example, I think it sounds different coming from different voices. So it's one thing for me to be here and tell everyone to be here. It'll sound different with you all being here and telling everyone else to be here. And the other thing is that it's a part of the expectations and duties of your position for you all to be here. So anyone that's listening online, remember that. And lastly, that's part of what we're going to be focused on today, creating an environment that encourages that type of behavior. Because right now, like I said before, we don't have really anything in place to make sure that people come. And if they don't come, what happens? So thank you for hitting on that.
John,
Yes.
It's also going to help to make sure that we have the next conference that we already scheduled in the quarter meeting.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
our departments, our universities will not give funds for last minute experiences.
Right. You're
We
right.
have to plan those quarterlies and things because not being just crazy about time.
And I do understand it, especially because most people submit, I know for our campus, we have to have that stuff in way in advance in order, even for spring travel, that stuff should be done already. But, the unique situation that we were in this year is because we didn't know where our conference was gonna be. This, one thing that we are doing this year, and we're trying to set up the rest of the years for that, the subsequent years for that, is that we have already begun, as you guys have seen already, planning the next conference. So one of my responsibilities is to go ahead and sign the contract, or have our association management or company or whoever sign the contract for next year. So in the contract has our quarterly meeting dates, because the hotels have to be able to know if they have those dates available. And it already has the location. So before the next board, and that stuff should be announced, will be announced at the next conference. So at that transition meeting, everybody will receive the quarterly meeting dates before they even leave at the next one. So that will definitely, that should be the practice, and it definitely will be the practice this year.
And I was thinking that another financial move is a lot of the conferences always are about opportunities to register for the next conference while at this conference. So I think if we do a membership drive at conference and we open a link for people to register for next year's conference, that'll give us some data about how we can move forward.
Right.
So like every conference event should be advertised the next year.
Right.
So like even in the comments that we have, like the comments, the presentations, if we do commercials, we start being in that next city in that next year, so that we don't have to worry about competing with the other conferences. And for membership, like we have that 20, and like give a gift to people who registered membership this year.
Right.
So even though it won't kick in until June or whatever the date is, but at least we'll be able to give people while they have money, because they have money before they go to stuff. So we want to get registered.
We can include that in the conference registration.
Include what?
$25.
We can, and we increase
That's
the,
an option. That's an option.
yeah,
Fee.
that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about money right now.
And
Okay.
I do also want to hit. I want to thank Willie for bringing that up. History has shown it, and I know that Grambling and a lot of other institutions have had issues with budgeting and stuff. History has shown us though that even when everything is presented on the front end, people still don't always show up on the back end. So the most important thing is to make sure that the individual is committed enough, and while we provide an environment for them to thrive, they have to want to come. They have to want to be here. So
But if they have the information beforehand, it's more incentive to come in.
yeah,
Less opportunity for
Absolutely.
excuses.
Right.
and so now we have everything. You know when the January dates are, we know when the April dates are, and we're going to make sure moving forward that the same is true for next year before this year even begins. So now the onus is on you all and everyone in the organization. So, and thank you all for showing up. Definitely appreciate that. And thank you everyone else for tuning in.
So for the next 15 minutes before we have our break, I just want to go over the budget. So people are asking how much the conference costs, so on and so forth. So what I did was I went through and got information from the 2013-2014 conference. One thing I know John mentioned in his report is about building institutional memory. This was for me, this right here is the express my discontent, because this is a big headache. Me as the 2015 conference planner should not have all this information. I shouldn't have to make phone calls to my friends, to call their friends, to find the conference planner from X year, to get this information. It shouldn't be happening. People shouldn't be having to go, oh, let me search through my Dropbox. I gotta see if I can find that. That should not be the situation at all. Like that information, I should have that information before I came into my position. So things that we need to know in order to budget is we need to know things like how many people ate, because each one of these meals costs money. That's where the meals are where the conference costs come from, because that's how we get all the hotel facility provided to us is through meeting our food and beverage minimum. So I need to be able to budget these things. So all hotels have a service charge as well as sales tax. So anytime you see plus, that's what that means. What I did here was I found, looked at the food and beverage menus from this hotel and found the average or moderate meal prices. So we're using a model of 18, 22, 38 for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 15 for appetizers and receptions. All right, so here you'll see these are the numbers that we had from last year, the 2013 and 2014. And then what I did, the yellow, blue, and green represents, this is our average attendance. The blue represents 125 to 135% increase, and then the green represents 140 to 160% increase. So I wanted to know, as we get more members, does the cost of the conference increase or does it decrease? Does it hurt us to have 500 people, every 1,000 people here? Okay, are we gonna lose money to have 1,000 people here? What systems, how do we need to offset that? That's why I wanted to know what happened with the numbers. So that's why I did things like that. So you'll see the yellow, blue, green, So here are the numbers, like for the reception. 2013 we had 50, 2014 we had 75, so I'll put our average at 65. That would be the cost of the reception. And then you go across the road to see what would be the cost for 80 people, for 95 people. So if you go ahead and scroll down, I'm not gonna read through all these numbers, you can look at it. All right, so we can stop right here. So here are our food and you go a little more. Here are our food and beverage totals. For food and beverage totals for each one of the, and this is based on 100%, not 100%, 100 people. This is based on 125 people, and this is based on 140 people. I'm talking about paid registrants. So I'm not talking about workshops, all of us, recruiters, all of other people. This is just based on paid number of registrants. These are the numbers that we typically have. So our Friday lunch is normally our biggest day. Remember I said that's normally the biggest, Friday is normally the biggest day that we have individuals attending, and then it kind of goes down from there. All right, so additional costs, if you scroll down a little more. So the additional costs that we have associated with the conference are room rentals. Once again, once we meet our food and beverage minimums, those are waived. We have various supplies that we need to just have, like pens and stuff like that. Copies or whatever that needs to be made. Our AV cost is usually around $1,500, and that's the difference between what the walk-on commission and what we actually the cost of the service. Our speakers average, it varies depending on how many speakers that we bring in. One year has 2013, I think it was up to like 9,000 or 10,000. Last year was a little bit lower. So it was about, so I put it at 7,500. Printing is about 1,500. Gifts and awards around 1,200. And so that would put our average cost, our average conference cost, based on 2013 and 2014 at 37,000. And we have more individuals, and it will increase accordingly. But many of these fees will stay the same. Like no matter how many people we have, speaker costs will stay the same. What else will stay the same? The gifts and awards will stay the same as well, and AV costs will stay the same. So if we base this off of, if we base the cost per person off of just registration alone, no sponsorship, no membership fees, no nothing, then the cost, the actual cost to put on a conference would be $376 per person. Okay. And then it will decrease accordingly because remember these stay stagnant, we bring in more money. Okay, based on these fees. So the cost does decrease as we bring in more members. Let's go. Any questions about this sheet? Yes.
Those numbers are based off just 100 people paying their costs.
Yes. Because remember, everybody comes to conference doesn't pay. Okay. So so this is based off of 100 people, 100 registrants register for the conference. That would be the cost. If you can go to the, any other question about this one? If we can go to the expected revenue document. So what I did was based on these numbers, we know that we are going to bring in money. We're going to bring in money from vendors. We're going to bring in money from recruiters. We're going to bring in money from sponsors, so on and so forth. So we need a little more realistic picture of what we're dealing with. And we also going to bring in various amounts of money from registration. Our average registration costs are early bird registration is $275. Regular registration is $325 per member. This is only based on membership price. We're assuming that everybody, usually, most schools will require you to pay the lowest cost, which will require you to become a member first, and then pay that cost. So the anticipated costs, again, are carried over from the last document. Here we have, remember we're basing it off of the 100 people. So if 100 people pay the early bird cost, that's where I got the 27.5, and the 32.5, 100 people pay the regular cost. So again, remember that's not meeting our, of course it's not gonna meet our need. However, we do bring in additional income. Last year, and you guys will hear a little more in Jessica's report, where she gives a financial report. Last year, we brought in $17,000, approximately $17,000, 10 of which is still pending, from sponsorships. From recruiters, last year we brought in $5,000, a little over $5,000 from recruiters. So last year was a low year for recruiters. In the past, it's been a little bit higher. So these numbers I kept as stagnant. You see, the 10,000 is still kind of low because we brought in, even last year, which was a lower year, we brought in a little bit higher than that, but I wanted to be modest with our estimates to see where we are at potential income from the conference. Once again, I'm not factoring in membership fees, because that membership fees doesn't have anything that should not pay for conference, because that's association business, so it should be completely separate. So the income potential that we have based on the sponsorship and recruiter, as well as the conference registration costs. At regular registration, it's hard to do. I had to get everybody at all regular, all early bird, because I wasn't gonna be doing all the extra mix of the numbers. So everybody at regular cost would be 47.5. Everybody at early bird would be 42.5. And these are the difference between the actual conference cost and the potential revenue that we bring in. So basically, this is how much money we stand to make from the conference based on these numbers. And once again, I said that these numbers are very modest. So our conference should be an overall money maker. It should be a fundraiser for us. We should be losing money at the conference. Because in every single scenario that we have here, we have the potential to make something. So even if every single person registered early, which we know is not the case, at the lower registration cost, we should still bring in $5,000 from our conference, and that's even with the lowest possible numbers for sponsorship. As sponsorship increases, then this number increases as well. Marcus, you have a question? Or you give me more time? Okay. So that is, well, I'm done actually. So that is our, so that's what the conference costs. Those are my anticipated conference revenues. So there are, when we come back from our break, I'm going to talk about what are our plans for fundraising, what are our plans for sponsorship moving forward now that we know what the costs are. So I guess we can take a short break.
Yes. 5 minutes.
Whose computer are we doing the lunch from?
Girls, I was gonna say, everybody.
If you're gonna say everybody, leave.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool, so you know,
alright.
I should go
Back to you.
Okay.
You have,
Are you bored?
Yeah, it's not, I'm not gonna be that long. So,
Wait. No.
probably got like 20 more. 30. Okay, so, now that we know what the budget is, what our expected, revenues are, we developed a fundraising plan. So here are funding needs and, the projected, costs. And then these are last year's numbers. So the last year's conference, general funds provided 16. We didn't have any special event sponsors, because we didn't do that last year. We brought in a little over 5 for recruiters, 250 for vendors. Individual donors was included in the general, conference sponsors for a total, revenue of additional income from the conference of just over, $21,000. So my goal, or our goal for this year, is to pay for the entire conference through sponsorship and recruiters, so that all the conference registration fee becomes profit, for the conference, for the organization. So as a result, we would like to bring in, $20,000 in general conference sponsors, event sponsors 10, recruiters 10, vendors to increase our vendors to, 2 double revenues, to 2. And then individual donors, up to 1,000 for a total revenue of about $41,000. This is extremely doable for us because we each are coming from our individual institutions. So if we go back and we bring with them our exciting sponsorship brochure and tell them about all the opportunities, and we go through the website and everything, all the opportunities that they have, it is very easy for them to give this amount of money, to our conference. There are some 20 plus of us on this e-board. We have another 14 on the conference committee. And then we have just individuals who are past presidents, e-board members, past VP conferences, and so on and so forth. Many of which who are deans, directors of programs, faculty members, at their institutions, and who have some sort of, affiliation with NBGSA thus far. So as a result, we would like to, what we're doing, and I'll talk about it a little bit more with our marketing plan, is we're creating an entire database of individuals and of past, sponsors. I went through a number, one of my professors, in my department is a past president and a past board member of NBGSA, and she was a board member for, I want to say like 5 years. She came to the conferences when she was in undergrad at UT Austin. And then she ended up serving regional rep, moving her way up to VP information or whatever. And then she served as president for 2 years. I was on campus with this woman, she's in my department, and I didn't know I was on the board, and I had no idea that she was even affiliated with NBGSA until I came to a conference and I saw her name in the program. And I was like, well, who is this? Come to find out, I go on my campus and look around, and her office is right down the corner from mine. Who knew? And so that's why another thing that I would like to do is to make sure that each one of us knows that some of our campuses have been very, very involved in NBGSA for decades. And we're on those campuses and we don't know this information. Some of our campuses have even been conference sites, like LSU was a conference site, was a major contributor in past years. And I was talking to Jerry earlier this week, and I was telling him about some of the program that I have for LSU. And he was like, what? I had no idea. And so these are things that we should know as board members, especially at our own institutions. Morgan State is all, you can see that all the board members from Morgan State all throughout our institutional history. So what she was able to do was she gave me conference brochures that she's kept throughout the years. And these go back to and this one was from 1998. And so they go back far. So one thing that I would like for us to do at some point is to go through these And what I want to do, especially if we have this time, this face-to-face time, is to start to extract the names of the e-board members and past presidents and the VP conferences, just to put their names aside. Because right now what we're doing is we have a database right now of over 700 past members from the NBGSA. We want to separate out, because we want to send personal invitations to individuals. So we want to separate the individuals who are past board members. So we want to, in our language in our letter that we send to them, asking them to participate, we want to acknowledge the fact that they can come to service at NBGSA in X year for as a board member or whatever. So now it seems like, okay, now we have personal connection to you. Same thing with our president. There were conferences that we've had in NBGSA that were in excess of 1,000 people that are mentioned in these conference books. I know when I can spent the whole day just going through them. We had Nikki Giovanni is one of the major names that we've had speak at our conferences. Robert Sellers and so on, Maliki Asante spoke at one of our conferences. So we have a lot of large names, people who are in higher places who have been associated with NBGSA at some time or another. These are the people that we need to start going back to, because they already have. We're not introducing NBGSA to them. We're reintroducing, and we're reconnecting our relationship with them. So we want them to be involved. So that's something that that's a major component of our marketing plan for this year. So before I get into our marketing plan, I want to go ahead and pull up the sponsorship brochure. So let's talk about sponsorship. We completely redid the way that we do sponsorship with the NBGSA. So you can stay there on the first page. So this is first of all, we condensed our sponsorship brochure into 2 pages. It previously was 9. There's no need for all that. So it was a 9-page document that was entirely too lengthy. It was just a black and white plain thing. We wanted to make it a brochure and make it interesting for people to look at. So this is a 3-fold legal size brochure that we possibly could get printed in the future. In the age of electronic mail, it's not really necessary these days, but it's the option. People have the option of doing that. So there are 2 ways that you can become a sponsor of the national conference. You can become an event sponsor, or you can become a general sponsor. First, let's talk about event sponsorship. Event sponsorship, for a set amount of money, you can sponsor any one of the following things or activities. Now, if you can make it a little bit bigger for me, because I just need this section right here. That's good. All right, so you can sponsor a keynote address. So any one of our 4 keynote addresses, people can sponsor. For their sponsorship of that, they get this following sponsorship benefits. So they get acknowledgement, they get an opportunity to welcome attendees at this particular event. They get acknowledgement on signs, so they can bring their signage to that particular activity as well. Then we have our opening social. At our opening social, which will take place, that's that poolside reception that we were talking about. Once again, no, you went down too far. Go back up. So there's 2 pages, so yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think afternoon break sponsor is the last one on there.
Okay.
Can you go?
You need me to go?
The left, yeah. So they receive 2 tickets to social. They also receive, each one of these event sponsors also gives the opportunity to provide a bag gift item for our attendees. So one thing we want to give, like every conference you go through, you should come away with stuff. You should always get stuff. So we want to provide an opportunity for each one of our event sponsors, each one of the institutions, to give one bag gift item for the attendees. So they will mail that to us, pens, markers, flash drives, whatever it is. We want to shower our, they get the opportunity to advertise the institution. We give the opportunity to give our attendees gifts. Also, they can sponsor our conference program. We have 2 sponsors for the conference program. You get an inside cover, a full cover for your institution, as one of the benefits, in addition to all of the other benefits that you receive. Conference bags. In the past, this has been dominated by
Cato.
Right. That's not happening this year because the bags are cheap. The bags are like, I think it's like $2 a bag or something like that. Okay, so we can say that for $3,000 each, we allow 2 schools to sponsor it. We will purchase the bags and we will put your logos on it. It will say sponsored by these universities, and we'll put your university's logo as well as NBGSA on it. Why do we have conference bags and no NBGSA is not on them, is not on them, or that university is much larger than the NBGSA logo that's on there. So from the conference bags alone, we can bring in $6,000. The cost of the bags is far less than that. I think it's like maybe $1,000, not even, depending on the attendees. So the rest of that money will go into the conference sponsorship. We also want to do conference lanyards. So normally we purchase this. This is one of our expenses. It doesn't have to be our expense. It can be somebody else's expense. So the person who chooses to, the school or institution who chooses to sponsor the conference lanyard will get the lanyards. We will get the lanyards made. I think our price of lanyards at like what, 15 cents, 59 cents, something like that. They're super cheap. So they are. We get the lanyards made and then attach a little plastic thing to them. And there, somebody just gave us $2,500 return. Chapter president's reception I talked about earlier. They get to have verbal acknowledgement during the event, and they also get to give 5-minute presentations during the reception as well if they choose to. Then again, I mentioned the afternoon break sponsors a little bit earlier. We're also doing a conference badge sticker. This is our cheapest sponsorship item, which is $1,500. Pretty much you can provide a sticker and we'll stick it on the back of our name badges. So it'll say this is sponsored by whatever, Grambling State University, puts it on the back. That's it. So now everybody has your name, your institution's name on all of the items. The award ceremony and luncheon program, we'll have a separate program for that where we will include all of the program for that ceremony, the order of the activities, as well as we'll put the keynote speaker bio in there. We'll put the prize, the winners of the all of their abstracts and all of that stuff will be in there, so on and so forth. So for that particular program, we can have 2 sponsors. Again, they get access to the event, and they also get the inside, front, and back covers as well. The award ceremony luncheon, once again, that's one of the most, we call it the most prestigious event of the conference, and any sponsors of that are able to give a 2 to 3 minute welcome to the body. You know, they do their spiel when they get up there. Oh, this is sponsored by the Morgan State University, blah, blah, whatever. So everybody, yeah, most people will like that, because you get the opportunity to stand up and greet everybody on behalf of your university, whatever. And you know, you do your little song, we'll give you 2 minutes to do your little song and then you have a seat. So we're glad to take your check. For the opportunity to do that. All right, so if you can scroll to the next page for me. The next page provides, so that's our event sponsor. So if you just choose to be a specific event sponsor. If you scroll all the way over, we have general sponsorship opportunities, which include some of these as well. So if you could, I just want to see these 5 logos. Yeah. Can you scroll over a little bit to the right. So we have associate, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and scholar level sponsorships available. And these are all the things that they get for that particular sponsorship. So this is another opportunity. At the doctorate and the scholar level, it includes event sponsorships as well. So you get, at the doctorate level, you get access to an event sponsorship of $2,500 or less, or a combination of them. And at the scholar level, you get event sponsorship valued at $4,000 or less, or any combination of them. In addition, you get corporate registration. You get a booth at the graduate and career fair. You get your names in the program booklet. At the bachelor's levels, when you begin to get hyperlinks on our conference websites, as well as ads in our conference program. At the master's level is when you begin to be able to send your signage to include at the various events at our conference, as well as tickets to our awards and ceremony luncheon. At the doctorate level, we add in 2 interviewing sessions at the graduate and career fair, if you so choose, as well as the event sponsorship. And then at the scholars level, in addition to all of those things, you get a 5-minute welcoming address at one general session. You get an opportunity to present a workshop or seminar at the national conference. You get a banner, a conference banner, a banner for your university or whatever on the main and the conference website, and you get your logo on all of our promotional materials. So it'll say, here's our sponsor, everything that we send out, every letter, email that is sent out on our website, and so on and so forth. Our sponsorship brochure, it'll have a list of past sponsors. Your logo will always be there at that solid level. So those are all of the sponsorship, events, and general sponsorships that are available. So begin now, if you guys can start to think about where your school can fit in terms of dollar amounts. Like last year, this would be our Georgia Southern and our LSU. I think there were a number of other schools who gave lesser amounts, but we want to definitely see where we can start activating those relationships with those individuals. So we can switch over to.
That was Southern University, by the way.
Oh, sorry, Southern, my mistake. I'm not Georgia.
I like to take credit when credit.
All right, and we can go to the conference flyer.
Conference flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the next thing that we have is, so now we start to talk about marketing. So our marketing, we have, so this is our general conference flyer that we're going to be sending out to everyone in mass production. And it just says pretty much general highlights about our conference, how to register, conference highlights, which we've already talked about through our agenda. So that's just so that you guys can look at it and provide any feedback in regards to that as well. So you can go to the marketing plan.
Marketing campaign?
Yeah, marketing campaign. So we are going to the public relations subcommittee is responsible for the marketing campaign. So all of everything for the conference begins on Monday, October 27th. So that's this coming Monday. So we're launching our website, we're sending out invitations, we're sending our speaker invitations. Everything that has to do with the conference begins October 27th. And at the very end of my presentation, I'll show you the timeline of our events. The main purpose of the marketing campaign is pretty much just to get the information out there in regards to our conference, to provide professional development opportunities, so on and so forth. So this is all the stuff that we do, that we are attempting to do in our conference. If you can scroll up a little bit. So our major goals, our major goals is to increase the overall attendance by at least 30%, to increase our general membership as well by 30%. We also are targeting, and I'll talk about our targeted audiences in a second. We're targeting HBCUs and flagship universities in the region. So we're focusing, because we can't focus on the whole state, on the whole nation. So we're focusing, the Public Relations Committee is focusing on the Southeast region primarily, and we're allowing the regional reps from the other regions to focus on their state representatives to focus on their regions as well. We would like to raise at least $10,000 through conference fundraising and the conference, and then also increase the amount of media coverage. More people, this is the same way you can shout out NAACP, UNCF, NESB, and so on and so forth. NBGSA should likewise be in that number. So our target audience, like we said before, are, of course, within the state of Florida, public universities and HBCUs. All of the Florida public universities and HBCUs, I believe we have 11, and then we have 3 HBCUs. All of the Southeast region HBCUs and flagship universities, all of the BGSA leaders, all of our current members and prospective members, which when we say prospective members, we're talking about members who are members in the past and who are not members currently. The local press, past conference participants, past sponsors and donors, and also Black business organizations, once again, beginning within this particular area and branching out. So our strategies are primarily, we live in an electronic age, so our strategies are primarily through our website and email. Those are both of our things. We have a rigorous email schedule that we will be using, that will be sending out things we'll send out information bi-weekly to the various target audiences. We also are channeling or sending people to our conference website, which I'll show you that in just a moment. And social media. So Kimberly, as our historian, is responsible for our all the social media updates through the National Association social media pages. And then we are also going to be sending information to all of our affiliate chapters so that they can send information to their listers as well as to their Facebooks and social media sites and so on and so forth. So our email, what we're doing, our primary system for sending out emails is going to be MailChimp. So what we're going to, since we've been using that in the past, what we're going to do, and it gives people also the opportunity to unsubscribe. That's the main thing. We don't want to be sending people information who don't want it and become a nuisance. So it gives them the opportunity to unsubscribe, to unsubscribe themselves from any of our mailings as well. So right now, our chair for the Public Relations Committee, she has comprised the distribution list for all of the past members. So what we're doing now is we're trying to extract from that list the e-board members, which you guys will help us do from from the board, from the information that we have now, and then also from the websites that we have from the last couple of boards. I know the ones I've been involved in, the last 3 that I've been on, I have that information. And then the ones dating back besides that, we'll be able to find it from there. Because we want to send out specific letters and invitations to those individuals, past presidents, past sponsors as well, to invite them to sponsor again. But we want to be very intentional in our email distributions that go out. So I'll show you the website in just a second. The timeline I'll show at the end. So the way that we are going to know that we were successful overall in this campaign is by the overall percent increase in attendance by members, percent increase in the general membership, and also the percent of participation of those HBCUs and targeted flagship universities within the region. Also, the amount of money raised at the conference and the number of media or the amount of media attendance or mentions within the public. All right, more specifically, we're going to, of course, do a conference evaluation, which we did which I did last year. And then we're also going to monitor the number of hits and conference activity to the National and Local Conference website, and the amount of media coverage before and after and during this entire planning process. So if we can go ahead and if you guys can go ahead and take a look at the conference website, it's www.nbgsa.org/NBGSC 2015. And there should be a link in the presentation that I sent. So right now, this website is not linked to anything yet. It will be linked to our website /NBGSC 2015. And that's also our official hashtag, 2015. Okay. Yeah. So here is our official website thus far. So you'll see the pictures that are coming up here. These are my favorites. You guys are like the culture people, especially like Kimberly and Marshawn. All right, so I'll just gotta take a look at the pictures that come up. They're exciting pictures. Oh yeah, Brooke and John, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Old time. Yeah, that was cool, brother.
Of course, that
See that guy? Where they at?
Oh yeah, they yeah. Come on, Right, that's my favorite picture overall. So it just embodies what the conference is.
Well, now I have to take the photos. I won't get
And I love this one too, because she looks so, India looks so engaged. She wants it. I just love it. Anyway, okay. So so we added the countdown. Here's some features that we added. We added a countdown to the conference. That's the main thing. I think on one of the pages.
It looks much better.
Thank you. So we made everything bigger. We changed all the fonts, made it just a little more inviting. We definitely changed the pictures to make them all current, more current pictures. So we should be doing this every year. Those pictures that were up there were at least 4 to 5 years old. Some of them longer than that. You can scroll down. We have the call for proposals information that's there. We have our revised save the date that's there, president's message, links to our NBGSA on Facebook, which we do not have any contact information. Obviously, we tried so hard to get this, and conference share information as well. Conference share message also. Gracias. I didn't even think to use one. You know, he was Danielle Paris. She used this picture. I was like, oh, that's a good one. I didn't even know I had that.
Literally sitting in the fake shots.
Huh?
It's a little bit like trying to figure out what I hear shots going on.
Yeah, no, Danielle put it in there. Because for the Southeast Regional Conference, she asked me for a picture if I forgot to get back to her. So she just went on my Facebook and found it. I was like, oh, that's a good one. I need to use that. All right, so you can go ahead and click on the registration. Let's go to the first tab. The registration. Okay, so let's go to conference registration.
Point of order.
Yes. Oh. So, conference registration. So, what I'm proposing, and we have to decide this as a board, is I want to launch a super early bird special. And for this because we want to get as much early registration as possible. So, right now we have a group registration thing where for 10 people, it's $2,000, equates to $200 a person for institutions who choose to do that. When we do that, we still end up gaining. I went through all the budget stuff, so you see that we're in a pretty good situation as far as gaining money for the conference, especially if we increase our sponsorship amounts. So I would like to generate early buzz about the conference. We're already almost into November. November starts next Saturday. Okay, so this gives them 2 months for a $199 special for members, right? So, and it's pretty much the same as our institutional special, but it just sounds good when you say $199, as opposed to the $230, what is it? $275 and $325 that it normally is. So we want to put this out to all the institutions, so there won't be any group membership between them. But we want to put this out to the institutions and be like, oh, register your students quickly, $199, $199. So they will do this before December 31st. So we're asking that during this year's budget, which we know, especially the holiday season, Thanksgiving is coming up, as well as school offices are going to be closing, the middle of December, we want to get as many people registered as early as possible. The reason that we want to push for as many people registered as early as possible is because once those people are registered, it will generate buzz through other campuses and on other communities. Hey, are you going to be in Jacksonville in April? I'm going. Y'all need to go. All right, so that's what we want to do is we want to generate as much people feedback. We want to make sure that people are hashtagging and stuff like that, so people just are excited and it generates buzz about the conference. So that's the purpose of trying to do the $199 special, and it's pretty much as if we're extending the group registration to everyone, because that's kind of something that we already do anyway, and we still don't lose by doing that. So we're only doing it it's really for 2 months that we're doing it, so it's not a really long time, because October 31st is next week. And then our early bird registration will take place after that, which goes to January 30th. And then our regular registration will continue after that point up until the conference. We will take, if you don't pay $325, we'll take you up until whatever. I think our balances are due for the hotel 3 days before, so we can, as we go along. January 30th is a major deadline for a lot of things. So we try to keep the deadlines consistent across the board. So January 30th is a cutoff for early bird registration. It's also a deadline for final proposals. It's also a deadline for scholarships, scholarships and everything. We try to make it to January 30th. chances are we're going to extend. But the initial deadline is always gonna be, and I think it will probably extend to probably like the 15th or something like that, after that. The only deadline that's different from January 30th is the hotel reservation deadline, which is March 22nd, which is very late. That's something we got back, I think, 3 weeks. Because the conference is April 8th, and the deadline to reserve your hotel is March 22nd. And all this stuff is on the website. You can find it when you click on the hotel. In fact, that's what we're gonna click on right now. So you can go up and click on to, or go up to the top and, wait, let me see if there's anything else in registration. Nope. No, it's good. Hotel transportation. So right now, in hotel transportation, we only have hotel information. A goal that we have is to provide some extra transportation information. So we're definitely going to provide access to, tell about the Jacksonville airport, that JAX, the airport code that you want to use. We also want to provide the shuttle information for individuals. I tried to get discounts on the shuttle, but the shuttle is outsourced. So it's not the hotel that's providing the shuttle, it's outsourced from another company. So one thing that we are going to look into is to see, because it's going to be masses of Black people coming to this hotel that Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, whatever. So we want to make sure that they're able to accommodate us and to see if we can negotiate any additional discounts for that. In the past other conferences that I've attended, they've worked with major airlines to see if we can do any types of discounts and stuff like that. So I'm going to have walk-on to explore that as well. So this is all of our general hotel information. If you scroll down and see if there's anything important. Just some pictures of my document. Okay. If you can go to hover over presenter, let me see what's there. Agenda, let's go to agenda at a glance, it's fine. So the agenda at a glance, so the agenda is up right now for people to see. So we want people to see it because we want them to get excited. Same way you guys are like, oh wow, this is great, blah, blah. We want them to do the same exact thing. So the agenda is up, it's live for them to be able to see. It does say that it's sensitive and subject to change. We'll be adding things. Once we know the speaker name, we can confirm the speaker for a particular time. We'll be adding that on there. We're also gonna, like right now, we have some inactive pages, like the speakers pages are inactive right now. So we're gonna be adding that as well. What else will be adding? We'll talk about that in a second. Let's scroll up the top, and this is the countdown that I have to fix. So don't worry about that one just yet. Come over agenda and let's go to call for proposals. So our call for proposals, here is our call for proposals submission area. So it's basically the same as it was in the past. Our call for proposals is still online the way that it was before as well. Oh, I need to change this date to 2015. So what I would like for you guys to do is while you're doing that and while we're going through this stuff, if you guys see errors like that, like how I just caught that it said January 30th, 2015, if you guys can write those things down, anything that you see that, oh, this is a mistake or whatever, to email that to me or just let me know so that I can change that before we launch on Monday. And the last thing, let's go to sponsorship area. You can just click on sponsors under career affairs and sponsorships. Sponsors. So it generally has this is our general letter of sponsors. It has sponsorship for sure that I just gave you. So at this point, you can go back to the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
So what we voted on Sunday was to do our conference website and these applications: vendor form, conference fellows, Blossom thing, and then we have to talk about Scholars Day. Somebody reminded me to talk about Scholars Day because we'll decide what, if anything, we're going to do with that. But those are the website forms that are going to become active by tomorrow. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have some time so I can have you guys just click through it, submit stuff, see if it works. So those will become active by tomorrow. Those are things that we've already voted on and we got for our 375 or 400 of our commission was yesterday. On Sunday. At this point, we would like to, again, make sure everything is online. And these are all things that require some monetary amount. So they're a little more complicated system. That's why they cost a little bit more to do. Because there's multiple payment options, there's multiple calculations that are associated with it on the back end as well as it gives you a portal to submit payment for each one of these applications. So we have the affiliate of the year, the recruiter form, as well, recruiters as vendor form in the payment for that, as well as the sponsorship. So that's something that I would like for us as the board to vote on because it's a total of $600, I believe. $600. Or 500. It's supposed to be 600.
It's six.
It's six? Okay. So what we call it's a total of $600.
That is. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Where's that extra 100 supposed to go? What's that breakdown?
I'll look at my email.
Okay.
I thought it was a total of 600, but I'm looking at it again.
Okay.
So we have to vote on that. If we can vote on that, probably once I figure out those actual numbers, then we can vote on that at the end, I guess, of the meeting today, and decide what, if anything, that we want to do with this. The reason that, and Jessica, I guess, can share some of her frustration as well, is that everything, when I try to gather numbers for the conference, as far as like dollar amount, whatever, everything's all over the place. Like, there's too many hands in the pot, I think, from my previous understanding of things and whatnot. That affiliate of the year applications in the past have gone through BP for membership. Recruiters have gone through whoever those recruiters, and then sponsorship goes through BP for conference and the president and the treasurer, and there's so many different hands. Information comes to whoever is the person who's in charge of that and whatever. And then as a result, it's like there's stuff all over the place. We don't know where money is. Like it's beyond me why we don't have this $10,000 from LSU. It makes no sense to me because of the fact, or why we should have any pending transaction at the time of the conference. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you are a sponsor, if I do not receive your money, you don't receive any sponsorship benefits. On the sponsorship application, it says you do not receive benefits until 2 weeks after the payment is processed. So if the payment hasn't been processed yet, you do not get, your name and programs and, banners and sign. Don't send us nothing until after the money has already been processed. So there's no reason why we should be still in the conference year later waiting on money from and that's from any one of these recruiters, vendors, or whatever. We don't move until the check or the money has been cleared in our account. And that's because there's been too many hands on it. So by centralizing everything in one space, so all of our checks, any checks that we have, will of course we can't put it online, but it will have to go to our New York office, and they will still have to fill out all the forms online, so that we know what we're not having to peruse any emails, we don't have to go through anything. We just have everything in one space. Also, each one of these, as far as on the back end, generating reports and knowing who gave what, when, all of that is, all those are reports that are going to be generated by our web management company. So that's something that we're definitely working on professionalizing over the course of this year. Like I said, we'll try to work on next week. I'm sorry, at the end of this week. Here's what's next page. Okay, the last thing I have is the timeline of our next activities. It should be. I think I forgot to put it on here.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see a timeline on here.
Is there an email?
Oh, it's on my phone.
Okay.
So we have a timeline of activities. No. Yeah.
You just tell us.
Or just at least write it down so somebody can.
That's why we're going to sponsors, event, social event locations, so on and so forth. We also want to begin to meet with UNF and what's the other part? Edward Waters here, as well as the conference committee will be, we would like to be present as well. In January, we want to start on the schedule, the more detailed mass agenda, and we'll work on that during that time. So we'll have the bulk of the proposals as well. February, we'll do a follow-up, work on our finish our community service, purchase our gifts and awards and any other items that we need to purchase. In the end of March, we'll start shipping our items here, and then we'll arrive and do our final speaker follows, and then we'll arrive in April. At the bottom, it has all of our marketing emphasis for that particular, and it's broken up into 2-week increments for that particular 2-week period, and it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to happen on that particular day, so it might be spread out to different audiences, but within that 2-week time frame. So in November, we'll focus on the call for proposals since that deadline is in January, and we'll also begin to announce the speakers when we start to confirm them as well by the middle of the month. Then we'll highlight specific events in December. We want to do happy holidays, messages and stuff to all the people who have registered, and we want to promote the super early bird special deadline if you choose to implement that as well. Then in January, we'll emphasize all the deadlines that are fast approaching, like the call for proposals, the scholarships, fellows, so on and so forth. And then in the middle of the month, we'll focus on, again, on those deadlines because they only have about 2 weeks left to get those in, as well as emphasize making hotel reservations and again, register for the conference. And then we'll continue that, emphasize and focus on the community service once we finalize it in February and the speakers. And then in March, we're going to do things like what to pack, what to wear, that kind of stuff. Event reminders about special events that we have going on, and start making distributing flyers and stuff for those special events that we have. Also, our sponsorship deadline is March 22nd as well, so we post. Of course, coincided those two,
March 22nd.
22nd, okay, is the sponsorship deadline. We'll take money.
Whenever.
Right. But that's the soft deadline. Is that day is March 22nd, and that also coincides with the hotel reservation deadline. And then we'll also highlight the conferences as well, and then once again in April we arrive. So there's a number of things that are not included in this overall general list that we have to work on. But this is just an overview of all the work that the conference committee and I have been doing over the last several months. So I just want you guys to know that when you don't hear stuff from us, don't think that nothing's being done. The work is being done definitely, and that the conference committee is working. Like I said, I talk to people every single week. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is I wanted to do some sort of benefit or some sort of support or something like that for the conference committee and their work on the national conference. So I don't know what it is that maybe we can throw out some ideas of. We're gonna give them gifts and stuff like that at the national conference in addition. But I don't know what we can do as far as like conference registration because I should have to pay for the conference because they have been doing also for the entire year. Or what any specialized room rates that we can provide to them and stuff like that, especially those conference shares that weren't being so hard. Because like all this stuff, I didn't do all this stuff. Okay, I'm just saying, I didn't do all this. I would love to take credit for all of it, but I did not. So there are a number of different people who did everything, and we kind of worked together on things and stuff like that. So I definitely want to acknowledge them. I'm going to, whether you guys agree with me or not. They're going to be acknowledged at the conference for their work and their dedication over the course of the year. But I also would like to try, maybe as a board, that we can give them something, as well, because they were elected, they volunteered, and they've been working. So,
how many people?
Right now, we have some of them are board members, so some of them are that. So I think there are 14 in total. And by the end, it might be like a good 10 who are some of our friends are like, yeah, they're not participating as much as we would like, so I'm gonna start moving this down. But, yeah, those who are participating regularly and who are actively involved, there's a good 10 of them, who are definitely my six chairs. Like Kendra is one of them, Moms is one of them, so, you know, like some of them overlap anyway, still receive more benefits. But, yeah, I think about 10 total. So I don't know, depending on our budget, I think we'll be able to decide in January. I'm sure that we'll be able to do that on the conference registration for sure. I don't think that will be an issue at all. But, any additional incentives, you guys can even begin to think about that or whatever.
Anything?
NBGSC 2015. So please begin to use that on everything. Another thing I'm trying to do with the website, NBGSC 2015, is the same as the website. One thing I'm trying to incorporate with the website as well is a hashtag feed. So that shows all of the feeds from there actively on the website.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
So it's now about 8 minutes to 12. We have the tour coming up at 12 o'clock. And how much time did David even have left? Yeah, so what do we need to do to prepare for the tour? Huh? Like, where do we need to go? Okay, you need to put something on here? Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, we'll go ahead and end recording for now, and then we'll start back up after lunch.